All right, say you've got some documents you're going to include in a package. We've got a couple here. We'll click on one, have a look at it, and say you want to use a quote or lines, a sentence, but it spills over into more than one line. How do you put that together for something you can use on TV? We're going to talk about that. So let's double click on a document here. We'll zoom in on it, take a look. Say we want this quote right here. While working to fulfill that eventual objective, we will implement an improve, expand, protect action plan to respond immediately to concerns raised by residents. So as you can see, this takes up 3 lines, that one sentence. Here's the tools you're going to need: the Snipping Tool and Microsoft Paint. I have these saved on my taskbar because I use them so often, but if you just search, no matter which windows you have, you will have these 2 tools, Snipping and Paint. So first, we will fill the frame, your screen, with the sentence you want. Because you want it big so that when you crop it and blow it up on TV, it's not pixelated. So we've done that here. We've got it as big as we need it. We'll go down and we'll select the Snipping tool, click New, and then we're going to grab all 3 lines here. And we're going to have some extra words that we're not going to use, but that's okay. See, we don't need said Senator Trogdon. Regardless, we'll go up here and copy. You can also hit Control-C. Then we're going to open up Microsoft Paint. And we'll expand to fill the whole window, and we hit Control-V or paste it in there. We'll go ahead and delete this part of a sentence that we don't need out. I also delete out my periods. So now we need to arrange the pieces of this sentence into 3 neat, somewhat evenly spaced lines. Lines that also sort of fit the cadence. So we take this chunk, we'll take this other smaller chunk, we just kind of eyeball it, line them up here. There's our first line. We'll take the second chunk, make this our second line, and then these remaining pieces will be our third line. While you're lining them up, try to make them evenly spaced. Yeah, we'll put this one next to it, get them kind of sort of on the same plane. We'll move this one over to the right so that it's pretty centered. Not too bad. And so that looks pretty good. So now we go back to our Snipping tool, click New, and we select that chunk. And there we are. Now see, it looks pretty neat. We could use this as is, and this would look pretty good. But I like to highlight some of my sentences that I snip from a document, so we'll click the highlighter and we'll highlight all of this. There's no easy way to do it. Just drag it all over and highlight it until you've got everything yellow. Make sure you don't leave any splinters of white in there. Then we click Save As. We'll name this Quote. Save it in our folder with our documents. We'll go to that folder. We double click on it. Looks pretty good. Now you've got all these loose ends and it's unevenly colored. We want to crop that out. If you have Windows 10, you can use that to crop, or you can right click, go down to Open With, and click Paint. No matter which windows you have, you can crop this out this way. Go over to Select. Get a nice selection here. And then go over to Crop, which is next to Select. And boom, there you go. You got a nice rectangle quote there. And you go up here, hit Save, close out Paint. There it is in our folder. It looks good. So now you can drag this down to Edius and drop it in your bin. Or you can double click in the gray space of your bin and select the quote that way. We don't need to. All right, so let's put this together and look at how we can make this look like television. We'll just drag a piece of B-roll under here. Cut off the shaky beginning part. There's our guys. We'll take a document that we're going to be referring to, and we'll put that on our timeline in the track above it and stretch it out to cover that piece of B-roll. And it automatically just kind of fills the frame top to bottom. But in my presets, I have page moves, as you can see here. One of the page moves you can use is a left to right reveal. We'll just drop that on there, and the page reveals itself from left to right. I think we'll use that one. Yep, looks pretty good. Now we'll take our quote and we'll drop it over the document. Of course, you'd be editing all this to the cadence of the reporter track. We have mix selected. We'll make a keyframe, pull this down like this. This will make the quote fade in, but we don't want it to quite do that, so we go back to our presets. I have a preset for these little highlighted pieces called highlighted in. You drop it on the clip, and just like this, it pops out of the screen and then slowly expands. So we're going to put the cursor over this keyframe right here where it finishes its fade in. Then we'll double click Layouter, and we're going to drag this set of keyframes to where that cursor is. That way the quote finishes coming up right where it finishes its fade in. So if we look at it, that looks pretty neat. We'll let it play out. Now, whenever I use still image, I use the anti-flicker effect. There you go. Just drop that on there. Drop that onto both of them. It'll be better once it's rendered. Another thing I do is I try to draw the viewer's eye to the document, and when you've got the background back there, it's a little bit more difficult. So one thing I'll do is I'll bring the cursor right to where the document stops its page move, and then I'm going to cut the clip under it at that point. Now I've got a pre-saved combination of effects that I've called under graphics that I'll drop right onto the clip that's under the document. And see what this does? Kind of makes it a little bit blurry, just a little bit, and changes the undersaturates the colors a little bit. But we put a little transition, a dissolve from the part without the effect to the part with the effect, so that it makes a gradual change in color. There we go. We'll drag it out so that it fits that page move. Then we render. Now, let's have a look. So, that looks pretty good, I guess. This is a useful thing, using these documents, because, I mean, you could just pad it with kind of generic B-roll of whatever it is you're talking about, but you really illustrate exactly what you're talking about when you show the black and white document there. And it's a helpful way for a reporter to make their point, to show it. You're not speculating. This is coming from a document in black and white, and here it is. We're going to show it to you. So thanks, guys. Hope this was helpful.